We have some big games on stage today. Particularly, we've got Quadrant up against Vuelta, two teams that were at Halo World Championships.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the biggest matchup we've had so far. Certainly you would say the most experience on the stage, and it's going to be a very exciting one to kick the day off. Day 2 in Blackpool, one thing I am impressed with, even though there was an after party last night, everyone's here, everyone's ready to play some more Halo. Nobody is struggling too much from what I can see, although there might be a few people hiding in the shadows.
People are here in body, though. There is quite a lot of spirits that have been drained.
It's true.
Still a lot of games happening around the ground as well, which is good to see. Baxter's over there playing against Nooney. That's going to be a grudge match
Quiet.
for the ages. A lot quieter than I expected, actually. But what we can talk about is Quadrant against Vuelta, and they actually made a team change. I think this one, Respectful couldn't make it, so they brought in Millsy instead. He's a pretty good replacement as well.
Yeah, Millsy's always been one of those players who's been kind of hovered around the top 4. I think he's always been looking for an opportunity to jump on one of those top rosters should one come up. I think that when you're looking at Millsy as a player, he's going to win his 1v1, so a lot of the time I think he's one of those players who you can rely on in those individual battles. You're not going to have to kind of worry about him in a team slayer scenario, for example. He's very good at kind of negating those deaths, keeping those kills where they need to be. And I think over time, with a few more experienced players, I think alongside him, he's going to be able to become a little bit more of an efficient player as well. It's something that I always look at, but individually, I think he's got a lot of talent, and I can see him being on this roster for quite some time as well.
Yeah, well, game 1, we have Capture the Flag Aquarius, and that's going to be one of those ones
lovely.
That everybody loves to watch, right? I love to watch them play. It's one of my favorite game types, but at the same time, when you're playing against Quadrant, you have to come out here and mind your P's and Q's right off the get-go.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough ask for anyone who's playing against Quadrant. This is going to be Quadrant's biggest test, without a doubt, so far this tournament. They're playing against some players who have played against them numerous times in tournaments across the year, and these players they're not thrown together. This has been a team for quite some while. As you say, Millsy obviously joining the team, but the core is there and know how they work with each other, know how they interact around the map. So for Quadrant, it's not a case of turning up and just being able to run through a team here. They're going to have to play some really good Halo, and Aquarius CTF is a great opportunity for both teams, I think, to play some good Halo, to get the feel of a map. 5 flags, of course, to win. You're going to have to put together not just 1 or 2 flag runs. It's going to have to be multiple ones to come out on top in this game. So everybody's got an opportunity. I think Quadrant's certainly the favourites without a doubt, but Vuelta, they genuinely could have a chance in this series if they can maybe steal away one of these early objectives.
Speaking of early objectives, with game 1 being flagged, I mean, it's the keys to victory are always the obvious ones. You control power weapons, get power ups, that sort of thing. But it's a little bit more deeper than that. When you're playing against the likes of Quadrant, you're doing more than just picking up a heat wave.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of Aquarius is based around you get that full dead, you move that flag, and I think you've got to be aggressive on their side of the map. It's about putting yourself in a good position to be that front player to do damage, but also to escape with your life and allow everyone to clean up. So if you can apply pressure when you're running a flag onto respawners and on your opponent's side of the base, it means that when you've got that flag back past halfway, if you lose a player, they're going to be respawned in a position to continue to help that flag back. So keeping applied pressure on the map is such an important thing to do here in Aquarius, and I have to say that Quadrant are one of the best when they find that flow.
Both these teams boast European champions. Some from a little while ago, some a little bit more recent, but both well and deserving to be on this stage here and now up against one another. Quadrant have expectations of being European champions again. Half that roster managed to achieve that last year, and how SLG and TchiK would like to get that accolade here and now. Game 1 is underway. We're rocking and rolling.
We are indeed, and there's going to be 3 dead off the break, make it 4 dead. And Quadrant have always been interested in their opening strategy here on Aquarius, capture the flag. A lot of the time you see teams fighting for mid-map control, looking for power weapons, looking for, the basics of Halo essentially to pick up off the rip, but Quadrant quite often actually send to overextend on the pink side and get straight into the base behind enemy lines, shoot players who are weak from the initial battles, and then get that flag moving. And that's exactly what they're doing now. You can see that TchiK has gone down. However, Mose is in a position where he's going to have to win a 1v1 here to send that flag back home. SLG will clean up that damage and keep it rolling, and it looks like there's no one here to stop this, Richie.
In a flash, we got the flag all the way back, 1-0. Quadrant boys take the lead. Mo's over on Car's side, takes a couple of shots. Septiq down to no shields on yellow brick. Phlux makes it all the way to the closet. Has teammate in Mo's there. They're going to try and apply some pressure of their own in the base, but Sica takes care of 1, takes care of 2. Double kill for him. Shuts down any opportunity of a counter cap.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example of the teamwork differential, you would say, between the two teams. You can see the idea from Vuelta. They want to be aggressive. They want to get in the base. They want to fly. But there's no thought to escape and keeping yourself alive. The kind of the expectation in that situation was to be able to clean up those kills aggressively and run that flag. The only problem was you're going up against a lot of talent in Quadrant, right? They're going to hit their shots. They're going to challenge you. They're going to make themselves a difficult kill. And every single second that a player like Sica keeps himself alive is the chance for one more extra bandit bullet to come in from a teammate. And that's going to help them win that battle. There's Sica as well, winning a big fight again. And Sica POV has got to be the place that we go right now because he's won a few individual battles in the last few moments.
Question to be asked, Phlux for the Heatwave. Had 4 shots, 4 attempts to kill Sica. Missed quite a few. Want to produce something a little bit special. When you have the Heatwave, you have to capitalize on those advantages. And we didn't see Phlux do that there. SLG in the front base flag remains out. Every single time we switch to the POV of a member of Vuelta, they're losing those 1v1 engagements. They're going down. Sica has the quantum translocator, so even when you think you have one, you don't.
Yeah, I mean, it's 3-0. Like, out of nowhere, you know, these flags have been going in consistently. And I want to talk about, you know, the use of this QT. I mentioned how applying pressure when you're running that flag on your opponent's side of the base is such an important thing to do. Well, the QT allows you to do that. You can overextend to the front of the base and then retreat back to your side. So that player is essentially irrelevant because you've done that damage. There's no way they can overextend into a position where other players are going to be there to help. And it's just a good example of game knowledge there from Sica. And again, he just wins a huge individual battle, but it's not going to be enough this time. This flag will go home, but Vuelta been outplayed so far.
Barely 3 minutes gone. 3 flags already sent home. Smash and grab you, if you will. Vuelta really not been able to find their feet here. Quadrant started off hot and continued in that same vein. Another flag grab. 3 dead again for Vuelta. Really can't get anything going. That's just it's a testament to how good this Quadrant team really are.
I mean, this is just another cap. He's not going to be shot all the way back. But he was 75% of the way home before, you know, players were back on the map for Vuelta. So, you know, no one is in a position to stop him. No one's even able to raise their gun to put pressure on that flag run. It's really impressive stuff, this from Quadrant. And one game type, I think that when you're... We talked about their strongholds, right? We've kind of like the tail of their strongholds being one of the best in the world, and it has been for quite some time. But when teams started to work out how to counteract their strongholds gameplay, they were forced to go and look at some of their weaker game types. This was a weaker one just a few months ago for Quadrant, but you can see the work that they've put in, and now it's become one of their strongest. It just shows that Quadrant want to be as well-rounded a team as they can.
The craziest thing is, you look at the kill deaths. I mean, the highest in the lobby right now is 9, and they have 4 flag caps. Almost as many. Legend has 5 kills. They've got 4 flag caps. He's only got 1 extra kill. So, I mean, how efficient they've been when they have the advantages. It's an opportunity here for Vuelta. Maybe get one on the board here. Millsy's going to slide this one in, and they have got one on the board. A little bit of respect to the name.
Yeah, that's a much better run. It was a little bit scrappy towards the end, but you always felt that they were in control. SLG was going to have to make a hero play, and now all of a sudden you're seeing Septiq on that MNK as we... It's almost like contractually we have to say it every time that we see Rob that he's playing on MNK, but he's picking up a few kills, and once again, Quadrant find themselves 2 dead here, and this might be another opportunity if he can hit this slide for Mose to put the second flag in and put a bit more pressure back onto Quadrant. But for now, that flag is down front base. You can see TchiK is going to be the player who's given the responsibility to pick up a few more kills on his way to returning this flag. Finally, he is going to step on it and should get that return before the drop comes in. And not only that, gets the return, gets the kill, and somehow or other stays alive.
Sides for reach out. Always with the grenade will get the kill. That means Vuelta's base is clear for now. Something to build on. Push out on the P side. Mose walks past where the Heatwave would spawn, but it's not there for now. Still some moments to wait. Sica again wins the fight with the help of that thruster back. SLG clambers up top B, and there's such difficult kills. They play the lives so expertly well. TchiK will go down. 5 beautiful shots from Septiq, and that might just hurt the opportunities this flag getting sent home.
Yeah, this one's going to be unlikely to go home. You can see floods are coming in now of players onto the return. Septiq walks past it to make sure that no pressure is going to come in, or at least damage will be done to anyone trying to force that return. The return will come in, so now it's an opportunity for Vuelta to get inside of this base again and think about a flag run. But you can see they're being a little bit slow on it, and they need to be because they don't have the kills alongside it. They don't have any semblance of map control. So even if they get 1 kill in the base and throw that out, it's unlikely to be a run that's going to be clear. They're going to have to slay their way back.
Vuelta growing in confidence now, a lot more even when it comes to slays. In the lobby, being heavily outslayed by a couple here or there. The damage is done early game. Mose has Heatwave now. Gonna pull a flag. 3 dead for a moment. SLG and TchiK somehow manages to get that kill when he really shouldn't. Now, an opportunity for Millsy to keep this flag alive. Lqgend top middle. That pistol doing quite a lot of damage, but Lqgend wins it again.
Interesting to see there. It was a little bit of maybe indecision for Millsy. Did he want to try and force that flag? Did he want to try and pick up a few more kills beforehand? And I would say a lot of the time the safer option is to look for a kill. If you can secure it, you're going to buy you and your team a little bit more time. But the problem is you're going up against Lqgend, right? And even with that sidekick, he couldn't quite control the bloom well enough to get that headshot. And you only need to give Lqgend an opportunity to hit 5 shots and he's going to take it most of the time. Another kill for Lqgend as well. 2 dead here for Vuelta and more pressure expected to come in. And you can see from the way that Phlux is having to play this situation, he's only thinking about controlling space right now.
Septiq and Phlux will combine to try and take down SLG. Norwin's got one, manages to keep himself alive. Lqgend hits even more shots, flags on the move, 3 dead. Mose is dead now. It was all 4 dead for a moment, and all of Quadrant in great positions to provide cover fire for this flag to get all the way home, and it will make it home. 5-1 the score. Quadrant take the lead.
Only one blow really landed by Vuelta in that game, and there was that one flag cap that did come in. A lot of the time you were seeing Quadrant just in full control of the map, right? And one thing that was interesting for me is even when Vuelta were getting control of their base, they all had to wrap back to try and get control. It was a constant trade battle inside of their base just to get players out, which allowed the 50-yard line, the halfway mark, to be controlled by Quadrant. So every time that Quadrant were coming off spawn, they were able to walk up to the mid-mark, walk to top middle, get into the gen, wherever it might have been, and apply more pressure to respawners. And on the other side, Vuelta were having to fight for that top middle control. It never felt like they really got out of their base and really put pressure onto Quadrant more than once in that game. And that just comes down to winning some individual battles off the rip, right? Just being able to consistently put pressure on. As soon as you do that, you start to snowball things like the thrust, the heat wave, all of those things start to add up. And a few individual battles you can look back and pinpoint, right? The Phlux one against Sica when he has the heat wave and he doesn't manage to convert on that. And that's another thing with bandits, right? Like ever so slightly quicker TTK. If you miss one shot now, it can cost you. And it was a good example of it there.
Because, I mean, you talk about pressure, and rightfully so. I think what we've seen from Quadrant is, although Vuelta were able to withstand some of the pressure, it was just sustained. It was only a matter of time before they got the 1, 2, 3 flag cap, and it happened in a flash. 3 minutes down, we had 3 flag caps back to back. But that game is already in the history books, and it's game 2 on the horizon now. Slayer, Streets. This has got to be a game win for Vuelta if they have any hope of going on in this series.
Yeah, it has to be a win. It's as simple as that. Otherwise, you imagine Quadrant will close this out in over a 3-1 fashion, right? Because they've just looked so dominant in that game. Number one, they've looked dominant all season when it comes to Europe and some of the world competitions as well. It's looked like some game types they've looked unbeatable on. Rockets are going to be the point of contention, as you would imagine, for both teams, and it'll be interested to see if opening strategy is going to be good enough. But SLG again wins a big individual battle there, because that was one that you didn't expect him to be able to win. But again, Bandit, you've got to hit the headshot. The body, when you've got those shields broken, isn't going to be good enough. And if you just take that extra second to line the headshot up, a lot of the time you'll come out on top.
Probably a lot of North American players watching this at home thinking, how is it going to look on land? Will I be able to outshoot some opponents? Will there be a skill gap? And
yes,
you can see that right here, right now. People are missing those shots. People have heat wave and they're getting outshot.
Yeah, and it makes it all the more fun, right? And you're a little bit less cross-mapping coming in as well, which means that teams who are aggressive and like to prioritize running in twos, the likes of Space Station, for example, you know, Stella and Nico have been doing it for so long. They're going to be extremely dangerous. FaZe, of course, are going to be one of the best in the world. But at 8-5, Quadrant certainly taking control of this game, and it's Lqgend and SLG who are the two players who have started well here. 3-1 for both.
Rockets for SLG. Happy to wait, play this one patiently. 3 members of Vuelta all towards Tram. We have a stalemate. Both teams recognizing how important this next few moments is going to be. 2 rockets go down. Mose manages to evade both and get the kill. A huge opening for Vuelta.
Yeah, well, I mean, SLG is pretty good with a sniper rifle, but maybe we drop the rockets next time, Normal, because those were 2 pretty poor-looking rockets from a player of his talent. And now Mose, we can hear him on the main stage right now. He's a player who loves to play off momentum, right? He's 5-2 in this game at the start, and he's already starting to just pick up the intensity of the call-outs a little bit, and he's hitting some really nice shots. It's a really good comeback, this from Vuelta. Now it's just a 1-kill game. Phlux trying to clear this up, should be able to do so, and does so. Now Quadrant find themselves 3 dead, and Vuelta back into this one.
Mose gets another. Perhaps going for the combat evolved is Septiq here. First one failed. Second one, though. Rockets have been moved. Has he been able to get them from the window? I have to double back and see where those rockets have gone. O's hasn't got them. We've tracked them down, folks. Septiq has got that combat evolved. Phlux and Mo's get kills. Septiq closing on the final member then. He's looking for information. He was spawned over towards Red Street. In Red Room, Phlux takes care of business. They've got all the power weapons. This is good for Vuelta.
They are getting sandboxed at the moment, Quadrant. They are really, really struggling, and this is where you got to try your best just to get 4 players back on the map. They haven't even used the rockets. They've still got 1 left here. You saw Phlux with the shotgun. They've also got the red gun as well, so they've got a huge DPS output at the moment, Vuelta. And when you have these weapons, when you have this kind of setup on the map where every single player has power, you need to make sure that you aren't going 1 for 1. This needs to be 4 for 1, 3 for 1, whatever it is. You need to keep your deaths down and make sure that you are racking up the kills, and that's exactly what they're doing. It's 22-13. Vuelta are using this sandbox so effectively.
Quadrant on the back foot, not something we've seen very often, particularly in Europe. Vuelta playing so well here. 9 kill advantage, make it 8. We know just how important rockets can be. We'll see another set in 40 seconds or so. Imperative that it's Quadrant to get their hands on it, they're to stand a chance of staying in this game. It's ever since Vuelta got control.
Ooh.
Again, that's one thing we don't account for, right? You win fights like that, it can turn the tide of a game.
Yeah, it certainly can. You know, one player gets taken down who might his secondary weapon might have been the Bulldog, right? And Lqgend coming out in that situation with 2 kills, the Bulldog maybe is down, maybe it's an opportunity to fight for that, and then that power curve starts to swing back to the other side. It's a 7 kill advantage here, but I've got to say for Vuelta, I was actually pretty impressed with how they slowed the game down once the kills started coming in, and they let the map reset before they tried to get aggressive again. Nobody was willing to just run off and let the adrenaline get too much of them. It was complete control, but as we say that, we are seeing Quadrant start to get back into it, and it's because those weapons have been used up now. No one has control, and now Quadrant are starting to get back in. Now it's Bandit versus Bandit. You can see Quadrant are starting to take over.
Bandit versus Rocket now all of a sudden as well. Both Rockets out though. 1 kill game. Two dead now for Vuelta. O's on B steps will go down as well. So towards the mid-game here. It's Vuelta on the back foot all of a sudden. Appears to be one-way traffic. Trying to win these fights. Lqgend inside tram will get a couple of shots down. 2 players on Vuelta down to no shields. 1v2 for Lqgend, has to back away, forced to put it in reverse. He gets himself up driveway and out of dodge for now. His teammates have gotten kills elsewhere. Double kill for TchiK. It's going to mean that they take the lead.
Vuelta just starting to get cycled a little bit here in the moments of the game, and that's TchiK with an overkill here who gets Quadrant back into a lead. A huge moment for him, almost gets the kill tack as well. Just cleaning up so much damage in that situation to get the overkill initially to swing that lead back, but a double kill here from Septiq is going to almost tie this game up again. So we're really getting into the moments now where everybody is going to be tested, not just individually, but the teamwork. And there is Phlux giving away that first death, and that's what Quadrant are always looking for. They can play off that damage so well.
Septiq down to no shields, has a Bulldog, needs to try and get a trade, can't do so. That means the win conditions possibly taken out of their hands. They pass the Bulldog over to Quadrant. Lqgend stays alive over towards Cafe. Face to face with Phlux. Millsy could be about to suffer the same fate. Sentinel Beam doing a lot of damage though, manages to fry him to just dust particles. But again, the first death given up by Vuelta.
Lqgend was taken down, so it was a 3v3 momentarily. Where have those rockets gone though? Because that's what would really win this game. It's going to be one player on Vuelta who picks them up. It's going to be Mose, who had the hot start to this game, and if he can continue with that pattern of play with the rockets in his hands, there might be an opportunity for him to close the game out. It's Mose who picks up yet another kill here. The pressure is on Quadrant. Millsy in the cafe trying to challenge TchiK here, who's one of the last players alive here for Quadrant. Sica is alongside him, but Vuelta, you would say, have the advantage with map control at the moment and the numbers, but they don't want to push. They don't want to give away a free death here.
Vuelta applying the squeeze. Stalker Rifle doing so much damage just to stop the push. Mose was forced to back up. Phlux will get one down to no shields, and Septiq will recover on that damage. Down on L. 3 kills required then for Vuelta. O's gets a kill and gets loud on stage. Another one goes their way. Bulldog will drop in the front of Tramlo. 1 kill required. Millsy tries to get it, but a perfect kill from Sica. Phlux is on the driveway and has to get back away.
And this is where a game could fall apart for Vuelta, right? They've given away 2 deaths just thinking, hey, we just run in here, we get the final kill. You've got to show a little bit of discipline. And there Sica gets another one, but it's not going to be enough here. Vuelta take game number 2, 50-49. It's a win, and it's a win that you'll take all day, but the way that those last few moments were going, you just felt that it was going to slip through their fingers, and Quadrant had a chance to get back into this.
I mean, on that driveway, a couple of shots are missed, and all of a sudden that game is flipped in its head. 1 kill game in the end on that driveway, but Vuelta hold on. 1-1 now this series, but what a game.
Yeah, great game, and I think Mo's had a really, really impressive performance. There's a few moments in that game where, you know, we're about 10 feet away from where Moses is at the moment. You could hear him popping off, shouting, trying to get his teammates motivated and put a bit of energy into his squad because he was winning some important fights. And if you're winning important individual fights against any of the players on Quadrant, that means you're outshooting someone like Lqgend, outshooting someone like TchiK, SLG. You know, pick your poison when it comes to Quadrant, so you know you're shooting well, and it gives you all sorts of confidence. But I think that game was won with that final rocket launcher pickup, right? It was Mose who managed to pick up the rockets. They won a couple of individual fights beforehand, Vuelta, that allowed them to move in. The kills that came off the back of it, great. But there was a few moments in that game where you felt that Quadrant, just at the end there, were going to have a little bit of resilience to find their way back into it. But you're right, I think the driveway push, a couple of players, no shields, it could have gone either way at the end.
Game 2 then, in the books. What's your reward for winning a Slayer? Well, up next, it's a Strongholds on Solitude, so it doesn't get any easier for Vuelta.
Yeah, this is one that you're probably looking at when the series layout came out, and you're like, this is going to be a tough one. If we win this one, we probably win the series if you're Vuelta, but very unlikely, you would say, with the history that Quadrant, of course, do have. But they did. This was the map that they lost the important streak on. However, I'm sure that looking back on that game, and certainly I look back on it sometimes, I'm like, did you really have to lose like that just for the streak? Like, it was, you know, they were up 249 to 160, I think it was. Managed to throw it away, but maybe if you're Vuelta, I'd be shouting over. Do you remember that game? Remember this game last time you played it?
If you didn't remember it before, try and make them remember it
Go
now.
just airdrop the VOD. That might be the new form of trash talk, actually.
Just send
Ask
over.
the other team to turn their airdrop on.
We're underway then. 1-1 the series score. O's coming off the back of a very impressive game number 2. You need all the players to stand up and be counted for here if you're going to take down Quadrant, particularly on their strongest game type. One of the world's best. 3 dead, not the start Vuelta would have liked. That's going to mean map control for Quadrant. They can start to dictate spawns.
B does get flipped. C is being flipped as well, so you can see that a lot of the resources from Quadrant here are going towards playing for A. 4 dead is going to make it a lot easier to play 4A and basically play for whatever they want. And this is what you don't want. You don't want SLG with camo snipe. You don't want to be in a triple cap with no points on the board. Quadrant have started perfectly as SLG starts to find a few visors.
Still trapped inside blue, hemorrhaging points. Very quickly getting to that 50-point threshold. It looks as though they're trying to get and work yard. One player in B, he's going to give up his life very quickly, but is that just a distraction so they can push it to yard? SLG rips the face of one more. Mose will get another to answer back. Phlux coming off the respawn, and Septiq will also go down. Millsy, it's all on him to try and get his teammates some map control, or maybe he has to wait for the spawn back up, but the play that they tried to make, Quadrant just dealt with it.
Yeah, I mean, Quadrant are just, it's foot on the throat stuff for them at the moment. It's 100 points to 0, and Vuelta haven't really left blue. It's as simple as that. They have just been restricted constantly. They tried to rotate into yard. They tried to force their way through, but you saw SLG hits one shot, and then all of a sudden it's a numbers advantage to Quadrant. They can flank. They can take their time. I think it was Sica who came in with the BR flank just to clean up the final player, and even though the scoring has been slowed here as Vuelta commit some resources to bottom middle, it's still Quadrant who are in charge here. It's 2 dead again for Vuelta, and you would imagine it's a matter of time until they reflip B here.
B getting transferred, so much pressure. Lux has managed to scoop up the camouflage and get away for now. Spit trying to survive. TchiK knows where he is, trying to spot him out, but Millsy shoot him in the back, and somehow Millsy keeps his teammate alive. Double kill for him. This is something to build off the back of. Then you have a slight numbers advantage. It's time to go and do something now. And Millsy heads towards dip, but somehow B will get transferred. C looking to continue in the same vein. Lqgend gets a double kill elsewhere, and that's going to even the odds.
Phlux just got taken down with that camo as well, so this is fine for Quadrant. They haven't allowed a point, and TchiK is not allowing Mose into the game, and even though Mose was giving it out a little bit ago, let me tell you, TchiK just exchanged some more words across the stage to remind Mose who's boss.
Use the word trash, and I think you can piece the rest of that
Didn't need to
sentence
translate
together.
that one.
Triple cap locked in again. Vuelta yet to register a point. This could very easily be a 250-0 if they're not too careful. Septiq wins a fight, but he's the last man on the map. Sica's, along with TchiK, 1v2, so Septiq has got to try and do some damage here. Manages to use the repulsor, but not enough. And again, they're going to get the reset on C.
Yeah, TchiK is, about to say, he is playing some Halo right now. It's a beautiful quick scope for the second kill there in the double. But when TchiK gets into this kind of environment where he gets a little bit fired up, he becomes so difficult to stop. And I think once that momentum starts to turn on his side, he becomes one of the best in the world. And there's another headshot. This is almost over.
Game is over. 250-0. And I don't know if you noticed, but TchiK let one player go and waited for Mose. Fired that headshot, but he was aiming for Mose. That's all he was waiting for. 2-1 now the score, but that was absolutely dominant and what we expected.
I wonder if Mose poked the bear a little bit there, or poked the TchiK, so to speak. He was just saying, you know what, forget about the other three players, Mose, I'm coming for you. But it's a dominant performance, right? And that, again, is how good they are at Strongholds. It's almost a pleasure to watch it sometimes, and when you're the team on the receiving end, like, what do you do? You know, they did everything right in certain circumstances, right? When they were trying to break out of the initial triple cap, Millsy kind of sacrificed himself bottom mid, tries to survive so everyone else can flood into yard, just to create a distraction, just to use B as a way to take attention away for a few seconds. But after one headshot gets hit by SLG, then numbers are still even. They pick up the kill bottom mid, hits the headshot, then it's 4v2 on the map, right? And they just flood in, they just recap, and they're just so good at cycling spawns, Quadrant. And one thing that's always impressive for me as well is nobody ever overcommits to give away a death, to let a team back into the game. They know if there's two players if they just kill them all four, there's going to be two players who spawn up before the other two because of the way that they stagger those kills. They can then take a few extra seconds to keep their shields, right? To do damage those two players off respawn, let someone else come in and move them, and then, hey, wherever the other two spawn, they're in blue as well, whatever it might be. They're so efficient at getting those kills off of respawn that it makes Quadrant almost unbeatable sometimes.
I mean, that's the challenging thing about playing against some of the best in the world. When you have a plan that's solid, you send a distraction down B, and that's a good idea. You push it into yard, then you just can't expect SLG to just whip away one of those lives immediately off the rip with that sniper rifle. You run straight into a headshot, and that just thins your numbers before you can even transfer. But we're going to load in now to map number 4, and Quadrant one away then from progression.
So Vuelta, who took that Slayer, are now going to have to take an oddball. This is a game type that you maybe think, again, if you're looking at map pool, you're looking at modes, Quadrant probably not the best oddball team in comparison to some of their other game types. So there is an opportunity here for Vuelta to maybe think about sending this to a game 5 if they can keep it scrappy, if they can keep TchiK a little bit cold, if they can start to win a few individual fights. But Lqgend is already winning individual fights. He should be taken down here, and Millsy now is going to have to deal with Sica as well. But kills starting to fall in the favour of Vuelta, so this is a good start and maybe an opportunity to look at that oddball.
Septiq, beautiful shots. Again on the mouse and keyboard. It has to be stressed.
Contractual obligation fulfilled.
Millsy staying alive on the double stacks, just on a little ledge. Avoids the grenade damage, certainly enough to keep him in the game. Now they have hands on ball. Septiq trying to rotate over towards blue. Wants the opportunity to play the ball if things get a little bit hairy, and they got hairy before he could even get there. 3 dead, Phlux last man alive on the map, and unfortunately he was the first spawner and has to wait for his teammates to get up and around him.
Yeah, Lqgend's got the shock rifle as well. He did get taken down though. The little trade came in, so the shock rifle might have changed hands, and it has indeed got into the hands of Millsy. The only problem for him is he's got 3 Quadrant players to deal with, and he's only got Mose alongside him, so he's going to have to play this one slow and carefully. Sica get some good damage in, and TchiK should be able to clean it up. So Quadrant make the most of their numbers in that situation, but there comes Phlux out of nowhere, hitting the slide, but the oppo is still controlled here. You can see the space is still controlled by Quadrant. Lqgend trying to move in to clean up the damage, but I think it's time for a play ball here. If you can get this off the map, it would be massive. It's exactly what it does, as that oddball, the skull just rolls back to that respawn point.
Sometimes gravity can help. The ball rolls off the map and resets. 27 points to 2 then, so it was Vuelta who tried to get that blue set up, but actually handed it over to Quadrant, so you have to be very careful not to do that all too often. Camouflage up, Mose is going to go for a heads up play from him, 2 kills, make it a 3-kill advantage for the moment, as 3 members of Quadrant were in the respawn screen. It's going to mean some semblance of control for them, but Mo's walked in with camouflage and got picked immediately.
Yeah, it gets a trade, but in that situation, I think as the camo player, when you've got a semblance of a setup, you've got to wait for damage to come in from the rest of your team before you try and make a play, right? A trade with a fresh camo when you've already got kills on the board probably isn't the most efficient play that you could have made. So now you're going to have to see Vuelta, who had everything essentially in their position, have to break Quadrant now, but a couple of kills started to go their way. They might have an opportunity to do so.
Millsy gets one on the Legend. Maybe clip that one, it's not often that that's a thing. SLG and Sica will rotate towards blue, trying to milk this ball for all it's worth. And here comes the cavalry. Sica will play that ball in an abundance of caution. 3 dead though. Septiq over towards bottom elevator, and they now have that information of exactly where he's standing. It's going to be Legend prioritizing ball time instead. Good from him.
Yeah, really smart little things that you don't notice sometimes about what some of the best in the world do, right? It's rooting. It's, you know, TchiK winning another individual battle is a good example of one of the best in the world doing what they do. But Legend picking that ball up, having just fought against Septiq bottom elevator, knows the rest of the respawns are probably going to be bottom elevator. So the angle he takes to jump up to battle edge denies all line of sight, meaning that even though he's doing the objective, even though he's grabbing that odd ball, he's not going to be taking any damage on his way to essentially the safe ground he wants to be in with that objective. So tiny little things like that are just small things that some of the best in the world do that you can certainly add to your game if you're watching at home.
Ball top tower, not somewhere it usually stays. Perhaps the ball carrier is going to play this ball towards Whirlpool. Yes, indeed. Septiq will try and add some and apply some pressure. Phlux and Septiq will combine. SLG is there though to put down some more damage. Tries to get 2, but 2 members of Vuelta, all 4 dead for Quadrant. This is an opportunity then to build on.
It's an opportunity you don't get too many times, and it's one you have to take advantage of now if you're Vuelta. You need to get that ball in your hands, and this needs to be a significant chunk of time. 2 players already flooding through, though. And look at the damage. I mean, I'm a little bit surprised that the oddball player is one of the first to go down in this situation, right? That just means the setup is a little bit flaky looking from Vuelta. Nobody is really taking responsibility to make sure those lines of sight are being cut off, and just like that, essentially from a 4-dead situation, Quadrant now have a setup in and around tower. They managed to pick up 3 kills, and Millsy, even though he's got the camo, he's going to have numerous players in front of him.
Millsy gets 2. Sica down to no shields. But SLG somehow has the ball. There were 3 dead for a moment. But it's Quadrant who have the ball. Vuelta are getting kills. They just don't know how to control a setup. As SLG gets 1 more. 3 dead. Millsy last man alive then for Vuelta. Getting pressure from Legend from behind. Some beautiful shots though, just to back the Frenchman down with grenade from Sica will get the job done.
And SLG still has this objective in his hands. You know, he's just been wandering around the map and managing to find where the Vuelta players were not, essentially. And with that, that will be the first round going to Quadrant. But there was a couple of moments you can highlight in that first round where Vuelta just weren't able to have a setup that they were convincing looking in, right? They had a 4-dead situation, they had the oddball, everyone alive, and Quadrant were always able to get that first pick. Something going wrong on maybe communication side where those respawns were coming in, or maybe just not winning the individual fights that they would have needed to.
Round 2 commences in a flash then. This is something that Vuelta have been doing relatively well. They've been picking up the power up. It's just not being able to maximize it, not being able to be efficient with it. SLG recognizes there's a camo player on the move and going to engage with Phlux. And this time, Phlux will come out on top. And going to be said, you're going to need to start winning a lot more of those fights. And Mo's will do another with this. So again, 3 dead for Quadrant. Another chance for Vuelta to get a setup.
Yeah, need to get that ball in their hands. I mean, there's 1 player alive here. Someone should be zoning him out. If Millsy gets taken down here, then I've got to be honest with you, something has gone wrong there for Vuelta. 3 dead, 1 player alive in tower, and you're not able to shoot him back well enough as a team to get that odd ball. It's not good enough. That's not going to win you these games.
Now Phlux tries to get hands on. Millsy will get a kill elsewhere on the Legend. Phlux at half shields is going to take this fight and get a trade. It's good from him. Millsy with his back to the wall. Shields were down, starting to recharge though. Sica didn't clear his corners. Millsy steps out and re-engages. Now picks up ball and pushes it up the goal steps. This is better from Vuelta, but all the kills they're getting and all this entire time, the score remains 0-0.
Yeah, 0-0, and unfortunately running the odd ball towards pipes and not being able to get it out towards respawners means that Quadrant have got a chance to try and fight and trade and keep that odd ball alive here. And if they win these trades, then they're going to have the opportunity to bring it back to pipes. So SLG with a shock rifle is going to have to hit a shot and avoid these grenades, and somehow or other no one gets out of there. Not sure how he managed to do it, but it looked pretty cool.
Ball remains in pipes then. Camouflage up in 20 seconds or so, maybe even less. First pick again, pretty easily done for Quadrant. The shock rifle player SLG behind gets 2, 3 dead. Now Mo is in an act of desperation, has to get into pipes. Put some shots onto Lqgend, tries to get the plasma grenade to find a home. TchiK though will get that kill, and again more ball time for Quadrant.
Yeah, Quadrant won that initial battle of pipes. I've mentioned the trade battle, they won it, and now they've held this ball in and around pipes this entire time. It's 25 points already on the board for them, and you can maybe feel that Vuelta's starting to get a little bit antsy here in this situation. A couple of solo pushes, we saw Phlux flying through the pipes, no damage being done to any Quadrant players. Before he could really fire his gun, there was a shock rifle in front of him alongside a couple more players. I think Vuelta on their breaks just need to take a little extra second, a little pause to get some initial damage down before they start to close those gaps. Then you can use those grenades to flush players out and try and take control of that ball. But now the rotate coming in from Quadrant, Vuelta got to be careful here because they're starting to stare down the barrel.
Sica wins one, bottom elevator. Ball down over towards double stacks after that initial rotation from TchiK. Phlux is a 1v1, Lqgend gets 2. Septiq, no shields, over towards long haul now. Desperately trying to stay alive, tucking tail. And it's Quadrant who have hands on ball again.
SLG trying to hit some fancy moves there to stay alive for a few seconds. A couple of kills starting to be picked up. Oddball already reset though. And look, even though these kills are happening in and around blue, TchiK is at pipes and he says, "That's cool, you can stay over there. You are so far away from that oddball respawn that I can just grab it and I guarantee me and my team 10 to 15 seconds. And then we're back to the trade battle again." Might be an opportunity for a play ball, and they do manage to throw it out to pipes, but Vuelta have an opportunity again. This is a 3 dead. Sica last player alive here for Quadrant, and it's the same situation we saw before, right? He's last player alive in tower. Can Vuelta get the ball back, get it safe, and start to hold this setup a bit more efficiently? The answer looks like yes.
It's better for Vuelta, but if got 2 players on batteries,
Yeah.
they give up 2 deaths pretty needlessly. And again, Lqgend has the ball now. He's whisking it away to blue. Millsy gets the opener for his team as they come off the respawn. SLG has just popped camo on his screen. How influential will he be? The answer is not very. Is Septiq with a beautiful grenade. But again, they have semblance of control, they have setups, but it's broken far too easily.
Yeah, it's paper thin, these setups, you know, it's like toilet paper when you drop it in the sink, it's just falling apart. It is not looking too good, these setups at the moment, and even though Millsy's doing everything he can for Vuelta at the moment, he's 25 and 15, he's plus 10 with the most objective time as well. This might be one of the last opportunities to hold and try and turn this lead back into their favor and put pressure onto Quadrant. The blue hold is looking pretty good at the moment. Lqgend will fly off the map as well, and TchiK is now left at last alive. The oddball did get played though. They were forced to make the play on the oddball, so Quadrant, even though the deaths started to tally up against them, they got that ball played, which means they will be closest to it off respawn.
Started to rotate towards pipes. Looks top elevator. Down to no shield. Sica should be able to get the cleanup and does. Septiq's in Whirlpool as well, as is Millsy. They need to try and clear out members of Quadrant here, but again, kills go in the favor. The boys in the green. And it's Mose who gets 1, but again, he was the last man alive, and TchiK has the ball. All the kills they get, somehow, some way, TchiK manages to get the ball in his hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's just trades in and around Turbine. Turbine gets cleared. Ball's still down there. TchiK's last alive. He knows where the last fights are happening, so he's like, okay, I don't need to influence these fights. I don't need to do much in this situation. I can just whisk that oddball away. And off the back of it now, he'll find the double kill himself, keeps that oddball alive, keeps himself in a position to maybe pick up the oddball should the kill start to fall in their favor. And TchiK, yeah, again with another kill. It's 3 in quick succession for him now, just being such a nuisance in and around these pipes at the moment.
Millsy putting down some shots. The back of 1. Damage will be cleaned up by Phlux, but Sica and Lqgend there to combine. Septiq tries to get the sticky grenade. It won't come through though. 3 dead. Millsy will have to try and contend and contest camo. Lqgend desperately tries to stay alive. They are going to trade out though. 1 for 1, but it's 78 seconds to 33, and now another thing plays a factor. There's only 45 seconds left in the game.
Yeah, time really is a problem here for Vuelta, and I think Quadrant have recognised it as well. That's why you saw TchiK a few moments ago not being desperate to grab that odd ball and hold it. It was more keep it alive, keep it near us so that we're baiting in Vuelta, and now it's just about racking up kills. 2 dead here for Vuelta once again. Everyone alive on Quadrant in just a few moments' time after TchiK will rejoin, and there's Sica and SLG once again just combining together to win those fights. And when you watch the game from the Vuelta POV, how many times you see 2 players from Quadrant stacked up? Mose will finally get that flank, but you can see how difficult it is to fight against them in certain scenarios.
10 seconds remaining then. 2 dead for Vuelta. They've got to get close to this oddball. Phlux is trying to go. He's going to get his hands on, but it's going to be in vain, as Quadrant should and will win the series 3-1. It wasn't easy at times, but they got the job done.
Yeah, game number 2, I think a little bit of a disappointment for Quadrant to lose it in that way. It was a 50-49. However, you know, the rest of the objective games, you never really felt they weren't in control of. I mean, we had the 250-0. That's just complete and utter dominance from one of the best Strongholds teams we've ever seen. And I think that last game was a good, I think, demonstration of what an experienced team does in comparison to one who maybe isn't at that level quite yet. It's knowing the scenarios with that odd ball so well. You know, the 2v2 scenarios. What do we have to do here? Let's try and keep that odd ball alive, and let's try and win our trades. If you do that, we're going to be able to spawn closer to that objective and maybe scrape up the time. All those little scenarios, cutting off the rotates, Quadrant did it so well. And I think Vuelta, the disappointment for me is when they got the full setups, they weren't able to stop the pushes. The pushes would come in and they would fall almost immediately. So certainly something to work on for them, just finding that, I think, coordination in their setups a little bit better.